Hello everybody, my name is Anju, Balakrishnan. I'm a legal intern of LEXIS and Company, and today I'm going to talk about strict liability. Before I begin with the topic, I want to say welcome back to our channel. Thank you for visiting our channel. If this is your first time visiting our channel, please press the like and subscribe button. So let's go back to our topic, strict liability. Strict liability basically states that any person who possesses a hazardous substance on his premises would be held responsible if the substance escapes the premises and causes harm to other people. um, this principle was first evolved in the case of Rylance versus Fletcher. For law students, this might be a case that you might have heard before, but if you've not heard before, I'll brief the case for you. Rylance versus Fletcher is a case where Fletcher had a mill on his land, and in order to power the mill, he decided to build a reservoir. However, due to some accident, the water of the reservoir fled the coal mines that was owned by Rylance, thus causing damage for Rylance, and hence he filed a suit against Fletcher. The court held that since the reservoir was built on the land of Fletcher's and it was built on his own risk, he would be liable for the harm caused or the damage caused to the island, and hence he should pay the compensation. According to this case, it basically tries to say that when someone brings something dangerous into their land, when I say dangerous, it could be something that could likely cause damage or harm if it escapes, then that person would be answerable for the damage caused. And he would be held accountable even if he was negligent. It's not only if he's negligent that he would be liable. He would be held liable even if he was very careful, because the substance that was on his land was considered to be hazardous or dangerous. Basically, he knew that the substance was hazardous and dangerous, and still he bought it into land. So even if he's not negligent, he would still be liable. There are some essential elements needed for strict liability. The essential elements are that the substance has to be dangerous. The defendant would only be held strictly liable if the substance falls under the definition of dangerous and would cause a mischief or harm if it escapes. The next element is that the material or substance should have escaped from the premises and shouldn't be within the reach of the defendant. Basically, if it is the plaintiff who went to the premises of the defendant and got harmed, then it would not be the responsibility or liability of the defendant. Only if the particular item escaped the land of the defendant and reached the land of the premises, and thus the plaintiff got hurt, then only would he be held liable. So first one is that it should be dangerous. Next one is that it should have escaped the premises of the defendant. The third one is that it should be a non-natural use of land. That is, in order to constitute strict liability, it should be proved that there was a non-natural use of land. In case of Rylance versus Fletcher, the reservoir was considered to be non-natural. Basically, if you store water for domestic usage, it's natural. However, for energizing a mill, storing water in order to energize a mill is not considered to be natural, it's considered to be non-natural. So you might have understood the distinction between natural and non-natural. If you are storing a non-natural item which is dangerous and which have escaped your particular premises, then you would be held liable under the essential elements of strict liability. However, there are some exceptions to this rule that the defendant can use in order to, provide his defense against the plaintiff, which is that if the defendant can prove that it was a plaintiff's fault the damage was caused, and it was a plaintiff who came in contact with a dangerous thing, then he would not be liable. The next one is that if it is proven that this particular event is considered as an act of God. An act of God basically means something that is that cannot be controlled, that cannot be avoided. It is not in the control of any human being. It's not something that can be avoided, no matter how much you try to foresee it, or no matter how much you try to be diligent or careful. Some sort of natural event which is unforeseen and cannot be controlled has happened, and thus it caused harm to the plaintiff, then in such situations the defendant cannot be liable. So if he proves that it is some sort of situation that's uncontrollable and considers an act of God, then he would not be held liable. The next exception is that if the damage was caused due to the actions of the third party, then the defendant will not be held liable. Basically, it means that if a third party is involved and it's proved that this third party is not involved with the defendant in any manner, then at such situations, we can say that the defendant would not be liable. However, if the defendant can foresee the actions of the third party and could have prevented and still did not prevent it, then he would be held liable. So three exceptions are that no, there's one more exception, which is that if the plaintiff provides his consent for some sort of, for that particular item and uses that item also, then the defendant will not be proved liable. And the fourth thing is that if the defendant can prove it was the plaintiff's fault, if it is an act of God, if it is the damages caused due to the actions of the plaintiff, and the next one is that if the plaintiff provided his consent, then in such situations it would not be the fault of the defendant. So this is what strict liability is, and these are the elements and when needed in order to prove strict liability, and exceptions that can be used as defense of strict liability. So I hope that you could understand what is strict liability through this video. If you like this video, please press the like and subscribe button in order to get more law related videos in the upcoming days. Thank you for your time and understanding, and I hope that you have a wonderful day ahead.